Welcome to the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Skateboarding. My name is Arjun. I've been skateboarding for 22 years. I also teach lessons over at the Skateboard Academy of Philadelphia. This is a skateboard tutorial for every single beginner out there, whether you just got your first board, maybe you've only been to the skate park a handful of times, or maybe you haven't even stepped on a board yet, but it's just a thought in your head that it looks really fun and it's an activity that you want to pick up and a skill that you want to learn for yourself. Well, in this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to figure out what your stance is on a skateboard, how to step on one, how to push, how to ride, how to turn, and how to stop on a skateboard comfortably. Because if you have stepped on a board before, you probably realized it's a little bit harder than it looks, and it's definitely a little bit scary at first. I'm gonna break everything down for you step by step in a way that's so easy to understand, even a baby could get it. But also, I'm gonna be giving you guys different exercises and practices that are used by different skate instructors all over the world. And these exercises are used to help you gain confidence and overcome fear. So go ahead and click that subscribe and like button. You already know where they are, and let's get started. There are two possible ways that someone could stand on a board. One of the stances is called goofy. This means you stand on the board with your right foot forward. And the other stance is called regular. This means you stand on the board with your left foot forward. And guys, the terms goofy and regular, they have absolutely nothing at all to do with skill level. Tony Hawk is goofy footed, and so am I. They only have to do with preference and whichever way you feel more comfortable riding on a board. So take your skateboard and stand directly over it with one foot on either side. Naturally, you're probably going to put whichever foot feels more comfortable in the front on first. And if your right foot goes on first, well then you know that you are goofy footed. But if your left foot goes on first and that's comfortable for you, then you are regular footed. And if one of your feet doesn't just naturally go to the front and you're unsure, go ahead and put both up there. Figure out which one is more comfortable for you to plant, and also figure out which foot is going to be more comfortable for you to push off of as well. And it's all just preference and whichever one feels more comfortable. And yes, it's really just that easy. Chapter 2 is all about getting onto and standing on a board. And by now, I'm sure you've seen that there are all sorts of different ways that skaters just hop onto their board and start riding. And I've taught lessons to kids as young as 3 and adults as old as 67, so I know that just stepping onto and standing on a board can sometimes be a challenge all on its own. So here's how you're going to tackle this next step. Standing on a skateboard is comparable to just standing. Yeah, that's right, without a skateboard. Now hear me out. When you stand on your own 2 feet, your body's weight is kept directly over the middle of your body, also known as your belly button, and your weight is evenly distributed to both of your feet. Just like your body, a skateboard has a center of mass or weight too, so when we add a skateboard plus a human, we get an answer of keep your weight evenly distributed over the center of the skateboard's weight. In other words, if you stand with your weight over the middle of the skateboard, you will be fine. It's when you shift your weight to either the front, the back, or either one of the sides that you could slip and fall off. So just stand, just like how you would without wheels. The toe flip exercise could also help you build some confidence and get a little bit more comfortable just jumping on and off of a skateboard as well. Start by flipping your board upside down so that the grip tape is now facing the floor, and cover just your toes with your board. And in one motion, jump up and in front of you and use your toes to flip the board back over onto its wheels. Land on the grip tape with your weight centered and spread your feet to get a little wider stance. Bend your knees as you land on the grip tape and find your balance. And you could try this exercise on any smooth surface, even on grass or carpet or a yoga mat to start if that helps you feel more at ease, but eventually you do want to get to a more smooth surface. Chapter 3 is all about pushing and riding because you can't do one without the other. And by now you've been practicing getting on and off of the skateboard, and that's beginning to feel pretty easy to you. So let's start pushing. When we teach how to push at the Philadelphia Skateboard Academy, we break it down into a 3-step process. Step 1 is the push itself. Step 2 is putting your push foot, also known as your back foot, back onto the board. And step 3 is squaring up. Step 1, the push. It is the first step, but it's also the hardest to get down. But don't worry, as you practice and continue to practice and perfect your push, you'll notice that it's becoming easier and easier, and eventually you'll be pushing and riding without even noticing. It becomes like second nature. Something to remember though is that you don't want to transfer all of your weight to the ground when you do push with your back foot. That would involve you completely stepping off of your board, and you don't want to do And let me tell you what I mean by that. So some people say that pushing on a skateboard is a lot like walking. And if it was, then I would probably do that. Instead, keep your weight completely on your front foot, which is also known as your plant foot, and only use your back foot to kick or push the ground behind you, causing you and the skateboard to accelerate forward. To explain that without a skateboard, go to the ground and stand on just your front foot, your plant foot. Just on one foot, just like that. All of your weight is on that foot. Now, with your push foot, your back foot, go ahead and just kick the ground. Just like so. If you could do this, you could push on a skateboard. Step 2, getting back on board. Now that you took a few pushes and you're gaining some speed, it's time to ride. So just go ahead and put your back foot back onto the skateboard and quickly get ready to square up. Step 3 is to square up. What this means is that your feet, your hips, and your shoulders are all facing the same direction. When you push on a skateboard, your plant foot is facing forward in the direction that you're rolling. And after you finish pushing, when you put your back foot on the tail, your feet are probably going to look something like this. And that's not the correct way to ride. So now you're going to do a little jump for step 3 so that your feet are now facing the same direction, they're parallel to each other, and they're facing the same direction as your shoulders and your hips. This is the correct way to ride. And if you do need to take another push, you're just going to go back to step 2 and straighten out your front foot, take another push, and then go back to step 2 and 3 again. Make sure that your feet are spread out enough. Generally, you want your back foot on the tail and your front foot somewhere near the top 4 bolts, but not too high, and definitely avoid putting your front foot all the way up on the nose. Pushing and riding can take some time and practice because now you're getting used to moving around on the board while the board is moving too, and that can feel pretty awkward to learn at first. But don't worry, the more that you follow the 3 steps and the more that you practice, the more that all 3 of those steps are going to start molding into one another, and the easier and easier pushing and riding is going to get for you. And eventually over time, you're going to be pushing and riding a board and not even notice. It's going to become second nature to you, just like walking. Chapter 4 is turning. So there are 2 possible ways a skateboard can turn, left or right. But not all of us are the same stance. Some of us are goofy-footed, some of us are regular-footed. So to avoid confusion, instead of saying left or right, I'm just gonna say a skateboard can turn either toe side or heel side. If you want to turn towards toe side, bend your knees and put your weight towards your toes and lean to that direction. To straighten out again, lean back off of your toes and back to the center of the board. And just the opposite, if you want to turn heel side, bend your knees and shift your weight to your heels. Lean to that direction, and to straighten out, lean back off of your heels and to the center of the board. And you could go ahead and practice this without a skateboard, but it'll kind of just look like this. There's also sharp turns, which in some scenarios you could lift up slightly on the tail and pivot over your back wheels to move out of the way of something a little faster. But this method does require a bit more balance and way more practice. You could also learn a trick called a tic-tac, but I'll save that for a whole nother tutorial. Chapter 5, how to stop. A really important but super underrated skill when it comes to skateboarding. And hopefully you remember the 3 steps that we used to learn how to push, like, I don't know, a minute and a half ago. Now all you're gonna be doing is taking those same exact 3 steps and doing them backwards. So you're already riding your skateboard, so you're already in position for step number 3. But if you're going too fast and you need to stop, quickly move your front foot into step number 2, and then bring your foot down to the ground to go back to step 1. But this time you're not gonna be pushing. This time you are going to be putting more weight onto your back foot as it drags on the ground, and the more weight that you apply to your foot, the faster you're going to slow down and come to a stop. There are other ways that you can stop on a skateboard, but when you are just learning how to ride and learning how to be comfortable, this is the best way for you to break or learn how to stop, because it's also going to help you get used to and get comfortable with shifting your weight onto and off of the board. And if you made it to the end of this tutorial, please do subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, comment. You already know where all those things are. You could also feel free to follow me on Instagram, as well as check out the Philadelphia Skateboard Academy for yourself. If you are interested in in-person lessons, you can check them out on Instagram as well as their website. I'm gonna put all of that information in the description of this video, and I do hope that this video helped you out a little bit, at least maybe learning some new techniques, but get out there and practice, because at the end of the day, nothing is going to help you more than practicing. Have fun and stay safe.